The way you see this whole thing is a long cycle of about a long human lifetime divided up into 20 to 25 year segments, right? Each one a generation long, each one corresponding to a new generation coming of age, a new generation coming into childhood. And the way you look at it is the first turning is what we call the high. This is a period like the late 40s, 1950s, early 60s, presidencies of Truman and Eisenhower and John Kennedy, a period when institutions are strong, individualism is weak. The country feels like it's more than the sum of its parts. We're personally modest about ourselves as individuals, but we feel we're part of a great organization that can really function well and actually change the world. That's followed by, that's the spring season. The summer season would be the second turning. That's the awakening, where we throw off all these obligations. We transform ourselves into a much more individualistic society, spearheaded as usual by the rising generation. That would be boomers in this case. We call that the prophet archetype, by the way. And then the third turning is the fall season. And this would be most recently the late 1980s, 1990s, early 00s, right? And that's when Xers are coming of age, boomers are moving into midlife, institutions are weak, individualism is strong. And I think we all have that experience of going into bookstores, and every upbeat book you see is about me, myself, and I. You know, I can do anything. I can conquer the world. And every downbeat book is about what we collectively share. It's like the end of family, the end of politics, the end of community. You ever notice that? That really is the period we've been living through. I always think the 1990s, the leitmotif was really Francis Fukuyama, the end of history, right? Markets and individualism around the world would triumph. Governments would fade away, and we would just contract with each other. And then finally, the fourth turning, which is the winter season, where we reconstruct institutions and institutional power in a very different, sort of the opposite of the awakening, right? So the awakening, we think institutions are too powerful, particularly the rising generation. In a fourth turning, we think institutions are too weak. Particularly the rising generation. I think absolutely true today with millennials. They think institutions are too weak. They need to be strengthened. And we can talk about that if you want.